Welcome back to Philosophy of the Barber. Today's episode is, we'll say, a little on the manic side because we, Cassie and I, have been doing some extracurricular activities after work that involve her going some crazy fashion, vivid colors.
Yes.
She's not done before.
Oh, yeah, I've been a bleached blonde for 5 years now, and I've not deviated from that. The last year I did do a partial peak of color, but other than that, I've been very, creature of habit, so I decided to branch out, and we're doing some fun purple and blue hair, and so I'm real excited.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yes.
Rocking my rainbow mohawk for the season.
I can appreciate contagious color.
Yes. And you know what? It kind of brings us into today's topic, which is hobbies.
Yes.
Hobbies for barbers.
Hobbies.
Because as passionate and insane as we can be when it comes to our profession, sometimes we need to depart from it.
Yes.
Just give that brain a break and look on something different.
Yes, I feel like hobbies are an absolute must.
Especially when you're first starting out. Because you're going to have a lot more downtime while you're trying to build a clientele. Mm-hmm. Now, that's of course not to say that there aren't other things that probably need to be done first, like cleaning around the shop, organizing, going out and trying to network and get your name out there. Sure, if you have the time to do those other things, or you have already done all of those things in the shop, and you're like, I already dusted everything for the third time.
Yeah.
Don't lose yourself on your phone. Don't get sucked into that. Mm-hmm.
I know when I first started out, I wish I had been at a point that my hobbies became travel hobbies and weren't just at home hobbies, because I did that. My first shop was a little slow at first. And after cleaning and doing laundry and all the things already, there's only so many things you can do around the shop that we upkeep every single day anyways. 6 or 7 barbers worked there. So, the shop was clean. There was nothing. We all did everything all the time. And I would sit on my phone for sometimes a few hours at a time. And that it made my day drag so much.
Well, it also gets you into a pretty unhealthy headspace as far as passively consuming content. I don't care if it's on your phone, if it's a TV, whatever. If you are passively consuming content, you get in a totally different mindset than if you are actively engaged in something. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're reading a book, whether you're writing, crocheting, whittling, I don't care what you're doing. If you are actively engaged in something, that's a different part of your brain that's working. Because when you are passively consuming things, then it's really hard to shift into an active role. It's kind of like trying to get your kid off the couch from watching TV for hours. They're super sluggish. They're like, I don't wanna. Barbers get into that mindset too. If you've been sitting for more than an hour and then a walk-in comes in, you have an immediate emotional reaction whether you show it or not. You're like, I am annoyed by you right now.
Just in the slightest. Shoot, I get in that mindset when I'm off on a Sunday and I decided to be lazy too long in the morning. It's like I then don't have the energy almost from sitting there and just passively consuming whatever's on the TV. But I definitely love, now that my hobbies are more bring with me hobbies, it helps. It helps. Now I do get more annoyed. Not really. Still very grateful every time I get a walk in. Don't get me wrong. Keep walking in. Keep interrupting my crafts. I don't need to be crafting at work. But I do get annoyed. I'm like, darn. I thought I was going to be able to crochet longer today. And I thought I was going to get this piece done like that. Okay, I guess not. Didn't touch this today.
Yeah, but that's more of I kind of was hoping that I could get that done rather than now I have to totally shift into a different part of my brain to engage with you. Correct. Because that's a lot harder of a transition. It's like the gear that gets stuck.
Yeah. I'm just ready to go. You just put it down and you go.
Yep. Now, let's go over what crafts and hobbies you have to pass your time between clients.
Oh, so I actively am doing lots of crocheting since it's newer for me. I've been doing it for probably like a month and a half, 2 months maybe. And so I'm like diving deep into this. I've been able to pick it up really easy, and it's been kind of easy for my brain to learn and my hands to just get a good groove of now. So it's been really hard to put down, but I also love to read. I'm usually trying to do some digital art on my iPad. My embroidery could come to work with me, absolutely. Now that I've learned a trick about how to thread the needle better. I didn't know that they were taking the string in half. Because it's like 6 pieces of tiny string in one thread.
Yep.
They split it and only use like half of it and thread it. Nonsense.
Secrets of the internet.
Yes. What have you been up to with your hobbies around the shop lately?
Typically, I mean, since the shop literally has a library.
Literally has a library.
Which clients can check books out of. So usually I'm reading in the morning, because right now I'm doing a challenge that involves reading at least 10 pages daily. So I usually get that done first thing before the day even starts as far as clients go. But I've also been writing lately because I have a new toy. It's called a Free Write Traveler. It's basically like a modern day version of a typewriter. So it's distraction free. You don't have to worry about like if you're on your laptop, all the notifications, the desire to like go down the rabbit hole of Wikipedia researching something.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, let me check my email really quick. And let me hop on this really quick.
Easy
and it's
to
like,
tangent.
what was I doing? So that's really nice. And to not stare at a document in a software program, because that in and of itself is like begging you to alter fonts and the layout and all the other like tweaks you can do. So this free write device is just type, and I've been having a really good time with it. I only just got it like a week ago, but it's fun.
I feel like the screen matters for reading and writing excessively on a device.
Yes.
At least for me, for someone that didn't grow up around technology and did not grow up with a screen in my face, like trying to read excessively on computers is really hard for me. Like I usually end up getting headaches. I just don't, it's always just too much.
Yeah. Before I really got bit by the reading bug, on the rare occasion I found a book that I did enjoy, and I tried to read it on my phone just for instant gratification purposes, not having to like go to a bookstore or wait a couple of days. I read a few books on my phone, and I really don't like it.
I will say the Kindle app I have for my phone gives me the option to change the page color. So my page color is black and my words are white. So that huge difference. And I can also change the font size, which I like to be a cheater and kind of be a fast reader. So I don't like tiny font. Like I will sometimes turn down a book if the font is too small and the pages are too big. It becomes intimidating. So I can like zoom in a little bit and make it a less intimidating. I can make any book a like entry level font for me. It's great.
Well, and as you well know, I very much am a physical book lover. And even more so, I'm particular in that I prefer hardbacks because I like to see the entire thing, and I need a size visual reference for how thick the book is, how many pages it is, the font size, like all of those things matter with like, all right, gauging about how long it might take me to read this, because my pacing does vary depending on the content of the book.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a slower going, I'm going to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to go 10 pages at a time. Whereas other ones I can really dive deep into, and I'm like crushing, 50, 100 pages easy during a work day. Yeah. Where it's like, where am I finding this time?
I will say I'm trying to hurry up and finish this last book of this series because it's on my little Kindle app, and I'm ready to get my hands back on a book because it's been months because I've been in this series. But I'm the type that if I don't see it through, I can't guarantee that I'm going to come back to it. but I like it enough to like want to at least see it through. But it's just become, it's got 13 books in the series. Like, so it's just become monotonous, and I just kind of know what to expect already. So we're close though. I'm halfway through, and then I can have my hands on a real book. It's already out on my ottoman at home, ready. I've already got it lined up.
I have a couple of books that are part of a bigger series that I haven't even bothered picking up yet, and they're not intimidating books. Like, they're YA books, and Disney at that.
Yeah.
So, but the last one, it did not pull me through. Like, I put it down partway through, and then I picked it up like a year and a half later just so I could finish it, and get it off my TBR list. And so I'm just like, all right, well, you two can just wait, and I'm gonna read things that I want to read right now. And then maybe I'll come back later to those things, and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Go back to that.
I've got one book that the only reason I bought it was because I was on Netflix one day and saw this show called The Luckiest Girl Alive had just like released onto Netflix, and it was based off of a book. And so I was like, ooh, I got to see like the trailer of it, and I was like, that looks really interesting. I was like, but let me read the book first. So I ordered the book. I still have never watched the show. The book, however, the way it's written, it's a little hard to keep up with in some spots for me. Just the way the back and forth is. Come to find out that it's a time travel issue that I didn't realize until months after I'd already put this book down from talking to other people about it. But I've tried to read it twice. I've had it for at least 2 years, and I'm pretty sure that show is no longer on Netflix. Like, I've not ever seen it advertised in a long time. Like, I think it's that far gone.
Yikes.
Eventually I'll get there. It's still in my book case.
Well, and as we've gone off on this side tangent, it does show that, like, one of the perks of having a hobby or a few as a barber is that it gives you things to talk about. Especially if you're not great with small talk. Like, boom, you have something to talk about with your clients. It's like, oh, so what book you're reading right now? Boom, let me go into it.
Yeah. I also love being able to talk to clients about their hobbies and like learning about the things they do. Like, so many other things seem tempting because I get to learn about them from my clients. Some of them are a little outside of my realm of reality. Like, no, one of my clients bought himself a mill. He's got all of these trees on his property that he didn't know what to do with. So some of them have fallen down already. Some of them he's chopping down, and he's got a sawmill.
He's milling and planing his own wood.
Yes. And building things for his house and like putting new things in and cabinets.
That's homesteading at its finest.
And I'm just like, that's impressive. He's retired. So he's just like, well, there we go.
Something to do.
Yep. Keeps him busy.
I've done a lot of odd things over the years. So like, I have magnet fishing gear, including a grappling hook.
Wait, what?
Well, because like if your magnet lands on something, but it like while you're trying to reel it up, like it might try and slip. Well, you put your grappling hook, and then you can pull it up, and you don't have to worry about the magnet slipping.
Oh.
Like if I have a bicycle frame attached to the magnet and it's kind of precariously perched.
Yeah.
All right, we'll send that grappling hook down. It's a giant fishing lure, so.
I've only ever seen and heard grappling hooks used in the content of spy movies or army stuff
or Disney cartoons.
Yeah. So like as soon as you said it, I'm like, what are you scaling to go magnet fishing? Like, where are you propelling from?
Realistically, a grappling hook is just a giant fishing
You're
hook.
not wrong. It's just a 3-prong hook.
But yeah, so I have that stuff in the back of my car just in case.
In the back of your car?
You have any idea how many bicycles get thrown into the river around here?
Really?
There was one that was posted on Facebook just the other night.
Oh my goodness. Well, they need these. Why are people throwing them into the water?
Yep, the world we live in. But yeah, so I mean, hobbies are important. We'll go over a notable celebrated folk artist who did wood carvings. His name is Elijah Pierce. He is featured somewhere in the barber textbook that I had when I was in school. And I flipped through it earlier today. I couldn't find it for the life of me, but I just Googled him and boom, barber, Columbus, Ohio.
There he is.
Folk artist. And that's what he started carving wood first. Like, that's what he did when he was a boy in Mississippi. And then he hopped on railway trains because he was born in like the late 1800s.
Oh,
and he lived until 1984. A long time.
Wait a second, what?
He was in his 90s.
Oh.
Yeah. So when he stopped in Columbus, Ohio to decide to live there, he opened a barber shop. I imagine wood carving and cutting hair not terribly dissimilar back in the day.
I would see that being pretty close.
But I guess he had no desire to work on his dad's farm like his brothers. So he went his own way. And I guess he carved an elephant for his wife, and she was so impressed that he decided to carve her an entire zoo.
What?
Yeah.
I love that.
So he spent his time, doing carvings between haircuts.
I think it's so important to have some kind of outlet like that. I try to always pick up new, different stuff. Like, prior to crocheting, I knitted. I've tried embroidery. I've done stuff with clay. I used to make jewelry. I've attempted wood burning. I would like to circle back to that. It was years ago when I tried that. I was a little nervous, but I feel like I could maybe do that now. I've given one person a tattoo before, but we're not going to indulge into that as a hobby. But it can be for somebody else, not me. It's not mine. I get them. I don't want to give them.
Well, you're going through this list of things, and it reminds me of Courtney.
Really?
She's done many of those things. Hi, Courtney. I know you're listening.
Hi, Courtney.
But yeah, like, I have no training in anything outside of barbering.
Correct.
From an artistic perspective. But
same.
For myself as an artistic outlet, like, I paint.
Mm-hmm. Same.
I don't paint real things.
Oh, okay.
I'm far too detail oriented, and I lack the skill set. So I paint abstract.
Cool. I'm trying to paint more abstract because I'm beat myself up all the time when I try to paint.
Yes.
And I get mad at myself. So I'm trying to allow myself to be.
Well, and my favorite thing and why I do the hair color that I do is because it's color that makes me happy. That is what I'm drawn to. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. The paintings that are behind you, like, I love classic paintings. They're gorgeous. Like, they definitely draw me in and elicit an emotional response, which is what art should do. Like, if it speaks to you, great. But as a creator of a painting, I am drawn to vibrant colors.
Yeah.
I love vibrant colors. So that's what I tend to stick to. I've been writing since, I don't know, middle school. Like, whether it's poetry or just stuff.
I was going to say, were you like a journal type at all?
Journaling has always been encouraged since I was a kid. I do have journal entries, but they were like really short from when I was in school. But I find that my journaling it correlates to struggles in life. So like, it'll be put down for months and months or maybe a year and a half because everything is hunky-dory and I don't need to work through, major things, or maybe I'm just ignoring things. But like, if I'm really struggling and I need to lay out thoughts, then it's throw it all out on paper.
I always wanted to be a journal kid. I always wanted to like journal and put my thoughts down and like do that, but I would always like do it consecutively, like 3 or 4 nights in a row, and then it would just not for a long time.
It's hard to make it
a
habit.
And then I'd pick it up again for just a couple more days, and I always would try, and I finally just gave up. It's just not for me. Now I'll doodle or paint instead. If I'm feeling like journally, I'll just keep my hands busy with something else because I don't really want to journal. Or I'll just call somebody, like call my mom. Clearly I want to talk to somebody.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitate to writing is because, I mean, I could not necessarily count on talking to somebody on a subject that I wanted to talk about and have them understand.
The way you need to be understood.
Yes. But I could always put it down on paper and try and understand it myself.
Yeah, because like sometimes getting it out helps you be able to interpret it. Because like once you
and reading
read
it back,
something,
yeah. So like I could always trust me. I couldn't always trust everybody else.
Yeah.
Because judgment, right?
Ugh, gosh.
So it's still kind of it's a good outlet for me. And now that I've late in life caught the reading bug, I'm a lot more inspired by other writers. And I don't know, kind of like if I'm around somebody with an accent for a long time, I'll pick that up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's usually, it has a practical application of like, all right, if I'm speaking the way you're speaking, you're more likely to understand me.
Yeah.
Well, the same kind of thing happens when I get engrossed into an author's material for a while. I can kind of think in their way of writing for a bit. Mm-hmm. So it's just like my mental accent is adjusted.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of, in a way, how it would be or should be with writers. Like just kind of using pieces or bits of things that you read and...
Inspiration.
Yeah. Pulling from it.
Well, finding out what you like, what you don't like. Like, you ever read a book that you just were dragging through? I had a really, really thin book. That took me so long. It took me 10 days to read, like, a super thin paperback book. It was very frustrating. I had to make myself get through it. Whereas, like, I crushed a 300 and some 400 page book, like one of the Bronte sisters, during my vacation. I was like, oh, well, that's done. Good thing I brought another book.
Yeah, good thing there's a backup. It's funny, when I didn't get into reading really until later into life. I did as
later into life, you're not even 30.
I'm about to be next year. But like, I just wasn't, I did it as a kid. Like I had a little library when I was a kid, but I very quickly aged out of that. As soon as elementary school was over, the books were gone. That was just the end of the story. And I kind of hated when we had to do like the group readings in class, like the teacher would read a chapter a day of the stupid book or whatever. And I always hated it. And now I've been reading pretty steadily for the last 2 years now.
Well, so like I've only been reading heavily, and I'm going to be 36 this year. Since I was 34, so like 2 years. It was really just like, it started with the Agatha Christie books. I love a good British murder mystery, especially if it's set back in the day where things were just fancier and people behaved themselves in public for the most part, aside from, murder.
Murder.
But before that, it was very difficult for me to find books. Like, I of course read books. Like, the first book series that I ever read and completed was Harry Potter. And it was phenomenal. But, like, that did not give me a love of reading. That gave me a love of those books.
Yeah.
It was very difficult for me to find something that pulled me in. And I'm not a fast reader. I've never been a fast reader. I had, like, I had to give up recesses in elementary school because they were not... they didn't like how slowly I read. So I was like, cool, way to...
punish you for it.
Yeah. But whatever. So I never consider myself to be like a confident reader. But like becoming a step parent and like reading stories to the kids, that kind of helped me not be monotone with reading things.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I can actually read this the way I would speak it.
Yeah.
So like having better mental associations with the material on a page was helpful.
Yeah.
But like I don't recall, being the youngest of four, I don't recall anybody ever reading me bedtime stories or anything. Perhaps it happened. I don't know. But like things like Winnie the Pooh. I never understood the love of Winnie the Pooh that anybody had. Because I've seen the cartoons and whatever. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, oh, I love Eeyore. And I'm like, he's...
sad.
Yeah, he's depressed.
All the time.
I don't know why you would enjoy that. And reading it, especially like the kids picture book type of things that Disney published. If you and most especially the originals, the books that were published, if you've never had it read to you and you're a child, you don't understand that Pooh is funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody just gave me a book and I'm like, I don't get it. Because we've talked about this before. Like, I take things at face value. If you are sending me something in print, I don't care if it's text message, email, whatever. If it's in writing, I take it as it is. If you are trying to insert sarcasm or something, you need to put an emoji in there.
Yeah.
Or an emoticon or something, because I will not get it. So, it took me until I saw the movie Christopher Robin with Ewan McGregor before I understood that Winnie the Pooh is funny. He's got jokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so after that, I read the A.A. Milne
from a different
books.
perspective.
Well, and also reading like the Tao of Pooh and the Day of Piglet, and like those books were like, oh, here's breaking down Taoist philosophy and principles, and comparing it to the characters of Winnie the Pooh. And then that gave me even more appreciative context of like looking at Winnie the Pooh characters from that perspective, which is cool. But back to hobbies. I mean, if nothing else, if you don't have any hobbies, pick up the habit of reading. Because reading is so important. Like, you learn so much, and you can offer so much to the people you engage with by learning that way. I don't care what you're reading. If you're going to be the average dude in America who gets into World War II, fine, read all the books about World War II. Like, get into it. If you're just into historical fiction, cool, go for it. Murder mystery weirdo like me, true crime authors, like, whatever floats your boat, read, because you're going to improve your vocabulary, you're going to improve your understanding, communication skills.
Just keeping your brain active during downtime. And even, honestly, even outside of the chair, like, say you don't have time in between clients, you've got super busy days, you don't have that kind of downtime like we are able to have sometimes. Like, when you're home, have a hobby. It's I feel like it's good to have something to like be passionate about outside of just like making money or existing in your day-to-day. Just something for you that you can enjoy. I think it's so soul cleansing, honestly, to just be able, especially like for me being kind of crafty and artsy or whatever, completing something that like I've just like created and got to put together, that like sense of accomplishment that comes with that is just kind of cool. Well, it's very fulfilling to be able to have something like that instead of just like going home and just watching TV or just being
on YouTube or gaming or I mean, there's a certain amount of socialization going along with gaming, and so like I'm not knocking it. But
in moderation, guys, come on.
Right. But there is a confidence building that occurs when you accomplish something like that. That's a neurochemical thing that's happening in your brain. And the more you do that, the more confident in life you're going to be.
And not saying that like anybody has to go and do anything or has to live life a certain way, but like I know that I've heard numerous studies where they say that when you retire, that you should pick up a hobby or learn a new language because it helps your brain stay active and you be able to continue to do things and your brain stay pumped up like that. And so it's not just like
keep the synapses firing.
Yeah, keep everything just kind of moving and going. And so I feel like we should just do that already before we retire. Just
Agreed.
Keep it going.
Well, and by that point, because I mean those are also neural pathways that you're establishing, and like the longer you have those habits established, the more likely you are to be able to maintain them further on. Any other thoughts on maybe hobbies to acquire as a barber?
Or if you're super passionate about doing hair and hair is an art for you, do more hair stuff. Get a mannequin head and continue to practice different stuff in your downtime if that's your cup of tea.
Oh yeah. Buy wigs and practice styling them.
Learn how to do hair transplants.
That's a medical thing.
You never
No.
Hair replacements.
No. Hair systems.
Dadgummit. I can't remember. I just want to call them toupees.
Yes, it's a hair system.
Whatever technical term for the stupid glue-on hairpiece.
They're coming back
I know.
with a vengeance.
That's why I'm talking about it. I would like to eventually learn. I've been talking to some of my balding gentlemen and asked if that'd be something they would ever consider.
I just flipped through that chapter in the textbook today, so.
I follow a lady on Instagram that does it, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. And she has a neon green sign above her, like as her backdrop, that says toupee. I'll have you know. It's on a green plant wall.
Of course it is. I have a friend I went to high school with who is in the music scene in Atlanta, and he's been bald for a long time, since like early 20s. And he was on Wild 'N Out, and they definitely snatched his hairpiece right off of his head.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But he has a ton of, like, really great systems. He's got, like, dreads. He's got a high top. All sorts of cool stuff.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Braids. Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't realize they did that. See? So many things to learn and know.
Well, and a lot of that is also, like, where the market is. Like,
yes. Oh, absolutely.
In a large metropolitan area like Atlanta, and, you know, having a population that has a call for that, great. But you really think Laconia, New Hampshire has any call for this?
Oh, I didn't say I was learning that. Nope.
Can't even get people to, like, cover up their gray.
Honestly.
Not that I'm trying to pressure anybody into that, because do you?
More along the lines of just men putting hair color in.
And even if you can convince them that, like, or not convince them, but, like, if they have a desire to seek out that service, teaching them how to properly maintain it is an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, you do have to use a bit more tepid water.
Just a little bit.
And yes, you do have to steal your wife's shampoo if necessary.
For a good cause.
I love it. Like, we got to do basics here. Basics. All right, let's learn how to use conditioner. It's in your shower. I know it's there.
It's in there.
It might have a salon name on it, but you should still use it. It's okay.
That's why I'm telling you, I'm not letting a single man buy shampoo from my side with just shampoo. They are getting conditioner too. Unless they have, like, a buzz cut, then I will allow that. But they know that it's a pair. It's a pair.
I do love the process of educating people on, like, skincare and hair care. It's kind of fun because nobody ever educated me when I was a kid. Like, I had to learn all this stuff by going to barber school or, like, the internet and, like, trusting a random person on YouTube to tell me things.
School made me so resentful of a certain brand of dandruff shampoo. I won't name drop because I'm being recorded, but like, I love being able to educate people on you don't have to use dandruff shampoo. You don't have dandruff. You're just drying your scalp out.
Yep.
Just use conditioner. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Step 1, find a normal, average shampoo and conditioner.
Yes.
Start there.
Baseline.
See what happens, and then we can adjust from there if we need to.
Yep.
Between your face and your hair being ready to go to the shampoo sink.
Feels a little stiff.
I think we'll call it a night.
Sounds lovely.
All right. Everybody have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.